All right, let's change up the pace a little bit with John Carpenter's romantic sci-fi film, Starman. The only reason that I skipped Elvis is honestly because I just didn't know how many people would watch that review and how many people have seen that film. So if I'm wrong on that and you do want me to review that, I will check it out. It's just like a 3-hour movie, and I was just like, I don't know if anyone's going to watch this review, and I don't want to spend all that time doing that, but I'm kind of a completist, so I don't mind going and doing it. But I just was like, oh, I can get Halloween and Halloween 2 done in the same time. So anyway, let's get to Starman. Now, this is something I've seen one other time, and it was many years ago, so my memory on it was hazy for sure, and I couldn't remember if I liked it or not. And on this viewing, I will say that I thought it was fine. I'm not a big fan of this movie. I think one of the biggest problems I have with this film is, for me personally, it's just very generic. Like, I don't feel any flavor to this at all. Like, I don't feel any... Like, I feel like this could have been made by anybody. I don't feel anything from John Carpenter here. The only thing that makes this feel like John Carpenter at all to me is an appearance by George Buckflower for like 30 seconds. Seriously, besides that, you would have thrown this on, and outside of obviously reading his name on the screen, I would have never guessed in a trillion years. They would have asked me and I would have been like, I don't know, the dude who did Cocoon? Like, I have no idea. He just wanted to change it up. Maybe he was going for an Oscar. I don't know. He was riding, high. I know it's really liked by a lot of people, and that's great. Don't get me wrong. I just found myself to be fairly bored, and I like romantic films, and I like lighter type stuff. That's not what it is. This film just didn't really have anything all that special going on in it for me that 10 other films like this haven't. Like, I just feel like maybe in 1984 or something, this would have been unique, but I've just seen a bunch of films like it, and I just didn't feel anything unique here. Now, one thing that did make me enjoy the film, whatever I did enjoy, is my love for Karen Allen. I had the biggest crush on Karen Allen in the movie Scrooged, which is like my favorite Christmas movie. I watched it every Christmas, and I just thought she was adorable. And I know her big role is from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and she's wonderful in that. And she's wonderful in this. She's a beautiful woman. I love Karen Allen. So anytime she's in a film, it's always a plus for sure. And she plays a very sympathetic, likable character, absolutely. Now, as far as Jeff Bridges goes, I'm not sure that it could have been played all that different, but for some reason, his performance was just too much for me most of the time. I just felt like it was just stepping outside of that, like, no, you're doing it a little too much for me. Like, it just felt a little too fish out of water, a little too overacting, and like the head movements, the mannerisms, all that stuff. Like, I get it, he's an alien, he doesn't know how to control the body. As I said, this is one of those places where I feel like I'm being a hypocritical dick because I don't have any better suggestions on what he could have done, but I'm not an actor, I'm not the one bringing the role. It didn't work for me. I know that I read online, tons of people were like, best he's ever done, and awesome. Okay, that's what you think. For sure, that's great. But for me personally, it just wasn't working all that much. I think towards the end, as he became more human, more of a person from Earth, it was working more for me. But especially like in the very beginning, like when he very first shows up, although that growing kid, effects that they had were fantastic. A lot of the effects in this movie, though, are dated as fuck and take you out of it quick. But that kid, like the little baby turning into the kid, awesome. The face growing up thing, that looks pretty dated. But the first one where the kid grew, I was pretty surprised. That looked pretty great. This movie reminds me a little bit of K-Pax, which also has Jeff Bridges, but that's a Kevin Spacey movie. I know Kevin Spacey's obviously not the best topic right now for a lot of people, but you know, I can't completely ditch every movie that Kevin Spacey's ever been in because he's done some shit. But like, I'm not gonna stop watching Seven or, you know, all the other amazing shit he's done, Usual Suspects or whatnot. But anyway, K-Pax is fucking fantastic, man. If you haven't seen that movie, Kevin Spacey plays Prote and he comes to the earth. Oh, what a fantastic film. That's more of the alien, the fish out of the water kind of thing, but he's more articulate. He understands the language and this and that. I mean, you could have changed the script and fit it so that the character wasn't so goofy, but I don't know. Moving past that. Now, the religious allegories here are pretty heavy. You know, him coming down to the earth, and he's a healer, and he brings people back from the dead, and he has to get back home in 3 days, and you know, this points to the star in the sky that he came from, and you know, the birth and the woman who can't have a kid, and like, it's very, very heavy, and I'm not huge on stuff like that. I'm not opposed to it. It's just so in your face. And I like how the racer guy that she gets in the bar, in the little diner or whatever, just seems to throw away whatever to help this chick. I mean, Karen Allen's beautiful, but I don't know about that, man. He like drives her there going like 100 miles per hour, gets there, takes a fucking tank of gas and throws it and blows it up next to hundreds of military personnel and police officers and takes off at 100. It's a fucking felony. Like, this guy could go to prison for this. All for what? It's not like she's gonna like meet him in Reno and give him a blowjob or something. Reno. Come up with some wacky shit. But it's just, I don't know about... doesn't matter. It's just like, wow, he's super nice. She didn't even have to tell him much. She just had to be like, please, you need to help me. She's got a better please than Jack Bauer, I guess. No one can say no to it. I wish I had this ability to just touch a slot machine and win $500,000. That would be nice. The one, like, actual genuinely funny-ass moment, because there's a lot of, like, as I've said, like, 3 times now, but it's the perfect scenario, is the fish out of water thing. Like, the way that they used it the best, in my opinion, is when Karen Allen gives the dude the kiss on the lips, saying thank you, and then Jeff Bridges comes up, and you know what's gonna happen, but for some reason the way he does it is so awkward, and then they like zoom in on the cop who's just like, nuh-uh, you know. That just was really funny, and sticking with that as far as like awkward kisses, I get it. Like, he's an alien, he doesn't actually know how to physically be with her or whatnot, but I wasn't feeling any love between them. But that begs the question of like, how much of her was in love with him and how much of her was just grieving over her dead husband and falling in love with him off of his looks. Like, if he had come and he didn't look like her husband and she had lost her husband, would she have fallen in love with this guy? Probably not. I mean, this movie deals with grief and loss and you know, finding new hope and rebirth and all of that stuff. And I get it. But I still should feel the connection between them, and it just didn't work for me. As I said, I've read tons of great reviews on this. Awesome, but their love wasn't working for me either. I didn't believe it. The one scene I did remember very vividly was him bringing the deer back to life, which I thought was really sweet and cute. Which is, this whole film is just, it's sweet. It's like an adult E.T. It's like E.T. for adults, with religious overtones thrown in. But anyway, all right. I didn't really have a lot to say. I tried to stretch that out as much as I could. Not because I'm just trying to waste your time, but because I always like to at least give every movie its full day in court and talk about everything I can that feels noteworthy. But I guess if you come to Earth, the one thing you're going to want is our pie.